My lord, an army of the dead gather in the wilderness, and they approach the castle.
What's up, everyone? So, I'm actually sitting here doing multiple reviews today because I have a stack of toys I need to get through for reviews. Some of them I'm going to do Instagram things with, others I'm going to do reviews on YouTube. But I haven't seen a lot of stuff about this figure, so I figured I would throw it out there. So today we are going to look at the Court of the Dead figure by Boss Fight Studios. I actually own several different Boss Fight figures, both in 1/12 and 1/18 scale. I'm not gonna lie, this figure looks really good in the box, but there's one thing that bothers me. He looks like he's in between scales. And I'm going to compare them to two different Boss Fight Studios. I'm going to compare them to a 1/18 and a 1/12 scale. And but he looks like he's in the middle between, maybe instead of 3.75 or 6 inches, looks like he's more like 5, maybe 4.5. So let's take a look at him real quick. Let's get out the big chunky Japanese knife to open him up. Okay. We can thank Big Bad Toy Store for providing me with this. No, they did not give it to me. I personally am against taking free toys. I feel like you can't give an honest review if somebody's giving you free shit. I paid for this out of pocket, like I said, but Big Bad Toy Store, as a company, has always taken care of me, with their customer service and stuff. Never had a problem with them. But I do believe that if you're going to be a honest toy reviewer, getting free shit kind of puts you in an odd position, especially if you give a negative review. Okay, so that is the display stand. Okay. All right. I'm actually, I'm not going to lie, I don't know too much about the lore behind Court of the Dead. I've seen pictures and statues from Sideshow over the years. I'm not going to lie, I really dig the designs. I really should look more into it and find out what the lore and the story is. But when I saw this figure come up for pre-order, I think it was last year, I kind of jumped on it. Not too hip on the two Snake Chicks that they came out with, which were released at the same time as this. But this one is definitely up my wheelhouse. Like I said, the Snake Chicks, not so much. They didn't interest me. That sword. I was going to try to yank it out of there, but that sword is made of what feels like very brittle plastic, which is way different than past Boss Fight releases. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that tape instead, because I don't want to try to... It's not a Hasbro rubbery, it's not rubbery like a Hasbro weapon, or even an older Boss Fight weapon, what I'll show you in a second. It's very, very brittle and rigid. Feels like if I, pushed it too hard, it might snap. So we're not going to do that. Okay, so before we look at the weapons and stuff, let's compare him to other Boss Fight figures to kind of figure out the scale. Now that he's out of the box, he doesn't look as out of scale as, well, I don't know. So this is a Boss Fight Studio, was it Vitruvian Hacks, 1/18 scale figure. I believe this is the Gorgon, one of the Gorgon queens or something like that. This was part of their their whole Greek mythology line. So like I said, she seems to be a hair shorter than him. Like I said, he seems to be a little tall, but he is wearing a helmet with that big old star thing on there. I'll zoom in a second, and we'll get a better look. And then this is one of the Boss Fight Studios Epic Hacks, which is the Roman soldiers that they came out with, the Roman phalanx, or however you say it. I know I just murdered that, probably. I guess he is pretty close to 1/18 scale. Like I said, in the box, he's very, very deceiving size-wise, but that helmet is probably what does it with that star on the top. So yeah, he's probably pretty close to a true 1/18 scale. Maybe a little taller. She's a little bigger than normal 1/18 scale. I should probably have gotten a Stormtrooper or something out to compare her to. So, just because that's, I guess, Hasbro's, vintage collection line has always been the, I guess you'd say, the benchmark for, scale-wise. So let's go ahead and set her aside. Now, like when I was saying, like, you'll notice her weapon is a little bit more flexible. So, now that I look at it, their weapons aren't as flexible either. I mean, now their their bodies are, I guess that's why I felt like the weapons were, but, I never really bothered to pay attention to that. So I guess the weapons are made out of the same plastic, but now he is much more solid than those two over there. Not brittle solid, though. Like, it feels like he's just made out of a higher quality plastic. And based on it being Court of the Dead, and the fact that Court of the Dead is, up until now, pretty much just been sideshow releases, there might be a monetary issue involved. The company that, Boss Fights licensed this from, they might have required them to, step up their game when it comes to plastic and things like that. So, but yeah, he's an imposing looking figure, isn't he? So that, he is definitely going to be one of my Halloween figures. Every year for Halloween on Instagram, I do like for a whole month, I do nothing but Halloween based, or horror and stuff like that. And he's going to be good for that. Like I said, he's got good articulation. He's got double jointed knee. I do see pins. He's got a rocker. Actually, it looks like his foot is a ball joint. So that is actually, I kind of like that. I mean, that gives him a good range. Let's see what he looks like with a running pose. Like he's running it like, a group of knights to, I'm not gonna lie, that ball joint also causes him to wanna, it's kind of a little loose, and it causes him to, wanna, he doesn't want to stand straight. He wants to, but yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that's an imposing looking, just, it's a good looking figure, I'm not gonna lie. And of course he comes with his little skull lantern. The skull lantern, you can see the blue flame coming out of it. I'm curious, does that flame come off? It does not. So, take that off for a second and, put the, have him holding it up, like he's, doing some shit in a dungeon. He's a good looking figure. I'm not going to lie about that. This is going to be a fun figure to use at Halloween. Especially in some cemetery shots. Like, yeah, like that's a cool looking figure. Hell yeah. I'd be lying if I didn't say this is a fucking dope figure. So, yeah. Looks like the shield, it is got its handle there. Just fitting this thing. I notice there's a peg hole in there. Oh, okay. So I guess, does this come off? I don't know. No, it doesn't look like it comes off. Does that just fit on his back? I don't see how that fits with that peg on there. Give me a sec. Oh, it does come off. There you go. Okay. You can see that peg comes off there, and that way he can carry his shield on his back like so. It doesn't fit very well, but I mean, nothing a little blue ticky-tack. If anybody who's any kind of toy photographer or does anything knows that blue ticky-tack can be used for everything. Okay, I will just put a pinch of that under the peg. My toy photographer friend, the Imperial Grunt, years ago introduced me to ticky-tack when we were doing using Hasbro Black Series Sand Troopers, and the original Sand Trooper, well, the only Sand Trooper that Black Series has released, the backpack actually sits a little high, so we were cutting off the pegs on the back and lowering the backpack to its proper position. So it's a good looking figure, though. Oh yeah, like oh yeah, that's a pretty looking figure. Well, I mean, I'm curious, does this helmet come off? Ooh, it does. That's fucking dope. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, look at that shit. That is fucking evil looking. Fuck. Like, oh yeah, that's some fucking straight up sword and sorcery shit there, man. Like, that's gonna make some beautiful Halloween shots. Oh, definitely. That's gonna be a fun fucking figure, dude. So, yeah, this is the Court of the Dead figure. By Boss Fight Studios. This is one I highly recommend. This figure impresses me a lot. Compared to Hasbro, I mean, if I remember correctly, this was a $35 price point. Yes, it's a 1/18 scale figure. It's got way fucking more detail than anything Hasbro's putting out. Comes with way more accessories than most of the stuff that Hasbro's putting out. There's probably other comparable toy brands that are relatively the same price range. Joy Toy, their Warhammer line. They're also coming out with Roman soldiers later this year. They're this scale that I think are going to have just as many accessories, but Joy Toy also runs just a hair more expensive than this. Joy Toy was going to run you roughly $40 for a base price, and then upwards, for heroes and blah, 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 the more intricate weapons, Boss Fight has really knocked it out of the studio, or Boss Fight Studio, yeah. They've really knocked it out of the ballpark with this one. Like I said, if you can tell, if you look at a previous Boss Fight figure, and like I said, the Vitruvian Hacks figures, they were good figures. They're still good figures. But the detail, like you can see they upped their game on the detail, like big time. Because the Vitruvian Hacks line was more of a, first off, it's, Boss Fight Studios in-house line. And second, it's kind of a line where you're really meant to customize. They sell lots of accessory packs, armor packs, like you can pop armor off, stuff like that, and make figures from scratch. This, though, is from a licensed property, and like I said, I would bet money that the reason this is using a better type plastic, and that they stepped up their game at roughly only a $5 more price point, is because whoever does Court of the Dead, and I feel shame that I don't know, as Foosh would say, Robo don't know, but Chad don't know. I don't know much about the backstory behind Court of the Dead, and I don't know actually who releases it. Look on the box. Who does Court of the Dead other than Boss Fight Studios? Huh. I don't know. It doesn't really tell me. It just says Court of the Dead. Is it like just a licensed property, kind of like Warhammer is? You know how Games Workshop, contracts the the Warhammer Joy Toy figures out and stuff like that. Is that what it is? If you know, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, this is a great figure. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. If not, I don't give a fuck. You guys, talk to you later.